everyone that are here actually. So I'll tell you a little bit of the story of Aircall. Very often I get asked why and how I build Aircall. So why? The reason is very simple. I thought we need to disrupt the telephony industry. And how we went that fast, I will try to tell you a little bit of the whole story here, okay? So thank you so much. Today we are about a bit over 160 million ARR. And so it took us 10 years to get where we are. So it takes a lot of time. Don't be in a rush when you want to make your company. Just focus on your business. First, why Aircall? Aircall, the idea was there is a problem in the telephony industry. It is very complicated to talk to each other in a business, especially when you're in a call center, especially when you're calling a customer support department, or when you get a cold call. It's complicated, it doesn't scale right, and it didn't work the way we thought it needs to work. And our idea was we need to build better conversations. That's how a phone used to look like. Back in 2014, looking at this, for me, this looks like 19th century, seriously. It looks very bad, and it doesn't have any option. You don't even know who is really calling you. You don't have the ability to do several things that we could do back in 2014 with just a laptop. So we thought we need to create something pure cloud, something that is easy to set up, that any guy could set up in a minute, no matter if he's tech or not tech. And so that's how our idea came. In the beginning, very often, people will tell you, you need to have experience in what you're doing. You need to know the industry. It's even better if you already were an entrepreneur. And actually, we were the opposite of that. We had no SaaS experience. We were not repeat entrepreneurs at all. But we had one thing that we believed in. It was our vision. We knew that if we work hard, we can beat anyone. Because by working hard, you create something that no one can follow if they just use their talent. We didn't have the talent, but we had the ability to work hard. And that's the biggest advice that I can give you when you build something, is work more than your competitors. And if you have that in mind, and your whole team has that, you create something incredible. And without the experience, without like the style that VCs in general asked us to go towards, we did it our way, and we got where we are today. We had a vision, it was bold, people didn't believe in it in the beginning, but 10 years later, there we are. So I'll tell you a little bit about our key milestone very quickly. But in the beginning of Aircall, I like to insist about that. We were nothing. We were no one. We had no money. We had no offices. We had 0 client, of course, and 0 employees. So we started on our own with my co-founders. We were 4 people, and that's all we had. Okay, we had one connection, Snoop Dogg. That's all. I'm kidding. I met the guy in San Francisco, and it was fun. But my point is, you don't need to be anyone to build a unicorn. You don't need to be anyone to build a company. You just need to be yourself and work hard. So don't listen too much about what people will tell you. And today, what is Aircall? We are 40 nationalities, 19,000 customers, about 700 employees, 7 offices worldwide, including US, where we do about 35% of our revenue. Very important to go in the US very early, because the longest you take to go in the US, the hardest is going to be there then. And US is a piece of something. It costs very expensive to be there, and it's very hard once you're there. And today we are doing over 160 million ARR, probably about 200 by the end of the year. So how did we build this machine? Let's go to the first step. I don't know if it's the hardest. Very often I say that moment is so hard because you are all the time in the doubt, the 0 to 1. This is where most of entrepreneurs will fail. About less than 3% of the startups that are funded will pass this 0 to 1. So if you passed it already, you already made something great. Continue that way. And remember something. Your idea is worth 0. Okay, put 1% here. But this is what is worth. Very often in the beginning of a company, when I speak with entrepreneurs, I invested in over 40 different startups in the past 5 years. And every time I feel when I'm speaking with entrepreneurs that they value so much their idea. Oh, my idea, yeah, but it's great. You cannot imagine how people love the idea. The idea is worth shit without the execution. And keep that in mind. I know you love your ideas. I know you love your business and what you build. But what will make you successful is your ability to succeed. So, what you need to do in the beginning, and that's how we did it. It doesn't mean it's the perfect way, but that was our perfect way. In the beginning, everyone was telling us, hire people that know how to do that job. Hire people that have done that job already. We did the other way around. We hired people that don't necessarily have a CV and don't necessarily have done the job previously. But we hired them with one thing that was very important, is that they had an entrepreneur mindset. And so we treated them as co-founders. And believe me, the first 20 people we hired at Aircall are all today co-founders of companies. They build their startups some years after, sometimes 3 years after Aircall, sometimes 8 years, but they're all co-founders today because we hired them with that mindset. And that's the best advice I can give you. The first employees you hire, treat them as your co-founders. Make sure they have this co-founder mindset or this entrepreneur mindset somewhere. And of course, you have to do at that point everything simultaneously. It's hard. It's where you need to sell, you need to build a product, you need to do finance, you need to do everything at the same time. But you need to do it. You need to master in every single piece of your company. If you don't master at every single function of your company in the beginning, later on you might be lost, and it's not going to be good for your new employees that you're going to bring, because you're not going to know what they're doing, you're not going to be able to show them the way, and you're going to lose time. So make sure you follow that step. And please, grow no matter what. At that point, the only thing that matters is growth. And growth doesn't mean just selling to the wrong customers and having a horrible churn, but it means having the whole company behind the growth. In the beginning of Aircall, even our tech team was behind growth. Very early, we were sharing our revenue towards the whole company. Everyone knew our monthly revenue every day, every morning. And it's important. So you need to grow at all costs. Anything you do needs to be driven toward growth. If you want to raise money or if you don't want to raise money, it's the same thing. Growth at all costs, because your velocity in the beginning, it's important. And you need to start understanding the product market fit. I know that might sound stupid, but very early, and I'm seeing it, the 0 to 1, so many companies are changing their product, they're pivoting, they're trying to find a way. You need to find it very quickly. It doesn't mean that you cannot pivot. It just means that if you pivot at some point, it needs to be in that period. Later on, might be very dangerous for the business. And, quite important, even though your product is not perfect, even though you're doing mistakes, you need to find some companies that like you. You need to find some companies that believe in your product, believe in your vision. Funnily, during that period, I got 3 business angel investors that were some of my customers that used Aircall, and believe me, Aircall wasn't working right at that time, but they still invested. And some of them did 100 times their money. So that's pretty great for a customer of a newborn company. Then you're entering in that moment that I call the expansion. This moment is crucial because it's the moment where the company starts to be structured. And at that point, you need to know where you're going. You need to know what you're building. So you define the need. Who am I selling to? What is the problem I am fixing? And I know it sounds so logical, but believe me, when you're working hard and you go very fast, you forget things. And at that point, you need also to see how you're going to scale efficiently. Not just throwing money into marketing, spending the money you raised, or if you didn't raise, just spend money in marketing. You have to scale efficiently. The time where money flows in your company free with VCs investing is over. Let's face it, it's over. So what some company could do back in the years, today it's not possible. So today, scale efficiently. Think spending, think EBITDA, think bottom line, and nail the execution. More than ever, I'm insisting on the execution. Because so many companies have great products. And believe me, it's not the best product that wins. It's the best execution and the best sales team. And at this point, you have four things. Four very important things in your company. You have the product. So the product is key. We all know it. You need to find your ICP. Who is my perfect customer? Who is it? It might sound stupid, but believe me, at that time, you're going to try, your salespeople will try to sell to anyone they see. And that's wrong. They have to sell to the right company. The company that is going to stay with you for a long time. Forever, maybe. But it's very important to find it. It has to repeat and scale. Everything you do. Everything you do. It cannot be just things that you do once and you're like, okay, we cannot do it again, but it was a short win. No. Try to find things that work on the long run. And at that point, you need to create a finance department. That's so annoying as a founder, believe me. I hated that part, even though I'm coming from the finance, but finance comes and it becomes less funny. Because they look at numbers, they look at efficient, they look at things that when you're in the beginning of your company, you don't want to think about it too much, but it is important. Everything you do at that part, probably halfway, needs to be oriented towards growth. Every investment needs to bring something very clear. And the team, of course, everyone at that point has to become specialist into something. So you remember your co-founders I talked about in the beginning. Those guys need to specialize now. At 1 million AR, this is where everyone has a very clear function, and everyone will stay in that function for quite a while, and we make sure they become specialists. Then the part where, believe me, at that point, at 10 million AR, when you reach it, you feel you touch the sky, but you're actually nowhere. Because there is a very, very big hill coming over next to you, which is the 10 to 50 million. At that point, you know, what I understood very clearly is that the most important thing is your customers. The most important thing at that point is the happiness of your customers. If your customers are unhappy at that point, you're going to the catastrophe. And Aircall, we had that. At 10 million AR, honestly, our NPS was not so good. And we realized now we need to change everything. We need to focus at our customers. We need to stop selling to customers, to anyone that we find. We need to sell to you, to the person that actually needs our product, to the person that we understand their business more than they do. And so we became not really salespeople, we became kind of consultants. When we were talking to customers, our main point was to show them we understand their business. We understand their problem. We know what you're facing. We have examples of other people towards your business that have had the same. So we sell at you, not just to you like, hey, we sell you. And this changed upside down our way of selling. At that point, we were having like competitors coming from everywhere, from US, from Canada, from Eastern Europe, from France, from Asia, everywhere. But we had something different. When we were talking to our customers, customers realize we know them. Customers realize that when you speak with Aircall, they know your business and they're actually really organized towards you. And this really made us have over 40% of win rate on every single demos we were doing. This is the top of the industry. And of course, you need to track metrics. And at that point, I'm showing just a few metrics, but those metrics are key. And I'm always surprised today when I speak to even companies that are quite mature to see that some people in the companies still don't know those metrics by heart. The MR, the net retention, the churn, the NPS, those numbers, you have to live with them every day. They need to be announced every morning in the office, in your chat, whatever. People need to dream about those numbers. They need to have that in their veins. It sounds stupid, but believe me, if people have those numbers in mind, and those numbers will always have a defect. They will always be improvable. So if you can improve them, people need to know about it. So they need to see it. So please, be transparent with your team. And if you're not able to do it, ask yourself why. What are you hiding? Show those numbers. In finance, there is a famous thing that says, show me the money. Money never lies. And it's the same in SaaS. If you're not able to show those numbers, then ask yourself why you're not able to show them. And then we entered in that crazy phase that we are still on, and I loved it. It was incredible. This is the moment where you become a unicorn, you become a centaur, very magical things happen, and it's great. But actually, it's all about becoming a real company now, becoming IPO ready, having real function, and be super structured. It's less fun than in the beginning where things, just fly. At that moment, you're a real company. You have everything that is supposed to be under control. Your KPIs need to be super clear. Every KPI needs to deliver a measurable thing in your company. Every KPI matters more than ever. And every KPI will make the success or not of your company. If your net retention is bad at that moment, you're in trouble. Your company is suffering. You need to think at scale. Everything to do is, would that work if I scale it 2x, 3x? And it's challenging, especially for a founder. Because as a co-founder, you started this little house, on the floor. And now it's a skyscraper that is being built above that little house. So you need to make sure the foundations are right. And you need to have the right people that drive that. And it's hard. Believe me, it's the hardest time I had at Aircall, which is now we are becoming a real company. And efficiency is the most important moment for it. It's at this moment where your metrics are not just about the growth. Now you need to make money. Now the company needs to be profitable somehow. You have to find that. And believe me, when during 6, 7 years, Aircall, it took us 7 years to reach 100 million ARR. It's been 9 years now Aircall exists. Believe me, when looking at your bottom line wasn't a problem during all that time, it's hard to switch it. So you have the opportunity now, if you're building your companies, to have that clearly in mind. Your bottom line needs to be there very soon. Very soon. And at that moment, to do that, you need to optimize every corner of your company. And it's hard because you build that during 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And now somehow you need to change everything. You need to rethink it. And your ability to be super precise and data-driven will drive the success of your company. But one important thing, it doesn't mean that you're changing everything and that you're rethinking how the company needs to function, that you need to forget your mission. Never step away from your mission. Never change your mission. And your mission needs to be super clear. It doesn't mean you cannot add new products. It just means make sure that you know where you're going. And most importantly, to me, the values of the company. They need to stay similar. If the value was humility, it needs to stay. People need to stay humble. Don't hire people that are not in your values. We did the mistake at Aircall. We hired super experienced people that came with their own values. And it didn't work. They were great people. They were successful in their other companies. But it didn't work in ours. Because they didn't have our values. They didn't have what we were built with and what made our success. So never trade your values for anything. So if I summarize, always work harder than your competitors. I've had so many competitors, believe me. But there is something that they couldn't match was our ability to work harder than them. We were not the most funded company. We were not the best, but we worked so badly. And the entire company was working that way. People always had Aircall in their blood. And even some people left. It's incredible how Aircall stays inside them. They're still friends with people inside Aircall. And this is because they worked hard together. And please, never find excuses when you're failing to sell. People will often say, oh, I can't sell, the product is not this, the product is not right, etc. Product is always the fault of the product. No, it's not. It's your fault. Ask yourself why you cannot sell. Ask yourself why people are not able to sell. Find solutions. Fix things. Don't let the problem arise before. And last, it's funny to say, but always dream big. No matter what you're doing. Dream bigger than what you expected. Dream bigger than who you believed you could be. Always aim for the top, and you're going to be on the top one day. Thank you so much. Believe in yourself.